How do we compare one economy to another? We're limited by our experiences, and our experiences are from our own perspective. For example, if you visited my hometown of Northern Shores and you saw the Kmart behind me, you might think the economy here is not very good. You might think that living here in this city was not very good. And if you knew further that this place has been abandoned for basically 10 years, leaving an empty parking lot in front of me, you might still think that that's the case. But your experience is limited and you'd be missing out on a lot of other things. If you only knew the abandoned Kmart, you'd be missing out on this boardwalk here at Pure Marquette Park that borders Lake Michigan. You would miss seeing this view here from the Lake House Grill, watching the boats come in from Muskegon Lake. And if you only saw the abandoned Kmart in Northern Shores, you'd miss one of my favorite spots right here. Nice park bench here at Hoffmaster State Park. Nice quiet birds chirping all around. It's beautiful. Now I know some of these experiences aren't what we consider to be a traditional economy, but all of this sort of makes up the experience of what is really my hometown and drives dollars and cents. People do visit here for tourist activities, and just seeing an abandoned store doesn't really capture that. And that's really the problem when you try to sum up the value of an overall economy. What segments do you look at? What different types of things do you take into account? And what's needed is an aggregate, a total value of that economy where you consider everything. For economists, that's called gross domestic product. As you know, there are many different economies in the world. And when we look at the study of economics and we ask ourselves which economies are doing better than others, we really need a standard measure to weigh. So if we wanted to compare, say, the United States with the rest of the world, we couldn't just take American dollars and take different subjective experiences and compare them with other countries in the world that are going to be totally different. So when economists want to compare an economic system, they really use gross domestic product, which in this equation is a variety of factors: consumption, investment, government expenditures, exports, imports, net exports. All of these are put into this equation here. Exports are subtracted, or imports are subtracted from exports, and these are all totaled up to give you the gross domestic product. Essentially, when you look at gross domestic product, it gives you the amount of money that a country is making at any one time. Now, in the way that the economies interact, it's not quite as simple as that because many of these factors flow into and out of each other. But in essence, this is the equation that economists use in order to judge one economy against another. Using this equation, an economist can get some kind of an idea on where the economies stack up with each other. This chart shows the world GDP, but we could look at GDP for particular countries as well. And as you notice here, between 2007 and 2013, the economy has gone through some peaks and valleys. Now, the other factor to consider is that we can't just take a raw total of the economy. That doesn't really help us any because of this pie chart here, which is a pie chart of world population. You notice that we have enormous populations like China and India that are offset by much smaller countries in Europe or Africa or the Americas. So when we talk about gross domestic product, we really can't talk about a raw total. We really have to talk about a population of individuals, which is, in essence, gross domestic product per capita. So to summarize GDP, when we want to examine one particular country against the rest of the world and see how they're doing, we really want to look at gross domestic product, which takes a variety of factors into account. But it's not just gross domestic product because of the variances in population
we want to also take GDP per capita and divide GDP by the total number of people within that country. This will give economists an objective standard by which to judge one economy against another.
The point to remember here is that by definition our experiences are limited. Economists can't just go by the subjective feel of an experience. They have to go beyond our individual experiences. They have to find big data, aggregate data, like gross domestic product, when they are evaluating the strength of an economy or the strength of a place. So as you compare different economies across the world, or even local or regional economies, keep that in mind. Our experiences are limited, and we really are looking for big, important data like gross domestic product.